game is universal. It embraces us all. In our diverse region, there is a growing passion for football. We are a region of World Cup champions. We have welcomed the world to witness big women's football events. At CONCACAF, we feel the love for our game. And we know that in women's football, we have an opportunity to be game changers, to grow together, to lead change and become champions. This is the moment to shape the future and leave a new legacy, to change perceptions, to build foundations, to grow participation across our 41 member associations. Football improves lives. Our game has the power to drive social change, to empower young girls' lives into being the women they were put on this earth to be. Our vision for CONCACAF W is improving lives through football. Our mission will be to improve the lives of women in our region through football by changing perceptions, growing participation, and building sustainable foundations. We will achieve CONCACAF W objectives by working together on 3 strategic pillars: communication, development, and growth. We have set 3 main goals under each pillar. Our goal is to communicate the importance of women's football and advocate on key issues affecting women. Our aim is to create pathways to develop and empower women. We will grow the game by building a self-sustainable model. In 2019, we will showcase success stories by leveraging major events. We will also create a women's football community and establish solid communication channels. We will create professional pathways for players and coaches and establish coaching mentorship programs. We also want to integrate women-specific topics into licensing programs and to continue inspiring girls to play the game by launching the first CONCACAF Next Play Girls program. We will finalize our benchmarking across the 41 member associations to gain knowledge and analyze the competitions and development status of our region, and we will implement female-friendly coaching programs. We will analyze current competition formats, build a long-term calendar, and redesign our Women's Football Day. CONCACAF will finalize its women's football strategy, build a commercial platform for CONCACAF W, and develop our CONCACAF W brand. This is just the beginning. CONCACAF is fully committed to build our women's platform, a collective force to engage, empower and lead players, football leaders, governments, parents, partners, and fans in a movement that grows the women's game in sustainable ways. It is our time. If not you, then who? If not now, then when? Are you ready to be a game changer? Are you ready to lead? We are. CONCACAF. Love for our game.
Wow. Karina, love for our game. Love for you. So happy to be here today. My name is Carmelina Moscato. I'll be the moderator. And really what this is going to be is a pretty organic conversation with one of my dear friends, somebody I laugh with, somebody I argue with, somebody we strategize with, and everything in between. So Karina, welcome to this moment in time where, again, I'm so grateful to be leading this impactful conversation with you, but a pretty crazy time. So Karina, maybe you can say hello to everybody.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. So happy to have you tune in. I'm so excited to be here. I was asked to speak at this amazing summit. And, you know, for me, it was what better way to do it than one of my best friends who we've been in such a journey with. So we thought we'd just invite you in to be a part of our conversation and see what it's like to be a fly on the wall with the two of us. I don't know everywhere where she's going to take me, but I'm looking forward to it. So thank you for tuning in.
Of course, we encourage you to get your coffee. That's what it should feel like, is genuinely a conversation between two great friends and 2 women who are passionate about impacting and changing football across the world, but specifically in CONCACAF. And just to sort of not move on so quickly about the video you just saw, that was the CONCACAF W Women's Strategy, vision from Victor Montagliani, and obviously head by the head of women's football for CONCACAF, which I'm more concerned about who she is as a person, and then we'll get into sort of what she does. So what I started off, when Karina and I started talking about this day, we said, you know what, Karina, you are such a dynamic an amazing woman. And how do we really tease that out of you? So I said to you, if there's one story you wanted to share with us to kick us off, because there's so much to talk about, you said there was one that came to your mind right away. And I'd love to hand it over to you, because I was definitely had chills and a little bit of tears last time you told me this story. So I'd love to encourage you to tell us the one that we talked about.
Yeah, I mean, most people may know both of us as footballers or soccer players. We played for our country for a long time. You know, for me, it was almost 18 years, even though I don't want to age myself. I'm still very young. But I think for me, it was right after in 2012, after we'd won the medal and kind of our life had changed. John Herdman had a conversation with me, and I remember it. We were in Brazil. He pulled me aside and he said, if you think your purpose on this earth is to kick a soccer ball for Canada, then I failed you. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, it completely rocked me, because as we both know, football and playing the sport for our country was our why. And so it led me on this journey to try to figure out, like, who am I? Like, why am I actually here on this earth? And what is my purpose if it wasn't to play for this game? Because as you know, women footballers, we stay after to sign autographs. We understand the importance of being a role model. We really hone in on, like, why are we here as footballers? So it led me to being a UNICEF ambassador. And this is the story I told you. I flew to Honduras. It was like weird, because I hadn't even realized that it was a trip on my own. Got out of the plane and I'm like, woo, here we go. And as with UNICEF, they tell you the reality of what you're going through and what you're going into. 44 deaths that night in the city I was in. And it was just like a harsh reality. It wasn't football. And I remember I had 4 days of just the most intense things planned. But the biggest highlight for me was I drove up through this village into this dirt gravel road where you and I would be like, we're just going to talk today. And there was hundreds of young girls on the other side. 12, 13, and 14-year-olds putting down their babies. You only know what you know. And I remember getting out of the car and just being like, okay, what are we going to do? And it was just me. I'm like, I'm going to coach like 200 girls. Okay. So they're coming up and they're jumping. I'm like, yeah. And right away, I noticed 5 gray jerseys. And I'm like, what's going on? And as you know, it takes a lot to throw me off. I'm like, what's this? And they come and they have little holes in them, exactly those 5 gray jerseys. And I remember going back to the thought of, what is my purpose and why am I here on this earth? And here I am in the middle of Honduras. These kids had never seen me play a game or anything. It's just the fact that I showed up. And that's the most important thing, showing up in life for others, because it gives you purpose. And as these girls came closer, I was like, coach, where'd they get these jerseys? He said it came from a Canadian. Why? Those gray jerseys in this middle of a small town in Honduras were the first ever jersey I had worn as a child when I first started playing football and soccer in Canada. And it hit me. I was exactly where I was meant to be, doing exactly what I was meant to be doing. And I think it's interesting, because this is, for me, it was a defining moment, because I think all of us on this call here, we should be asking ourselves, like, why am I here on this earth? What am I meant to be doing? And you're connected to it, but we all should be doing that. And for me, it was with football. I wasn't just a player, but I wanted to continue to enhance this game, because the power of dropping a soccer ball changed these young girls' lives. You were able to have conversations that you never could have had before. Wow.
The jerseys showing up in Honduras, connecting with a moment in time in a foreign country, like, we cannot even we cannot fathom how that actually happened, but we know that we always get universal signs, right? There are things that keep us going, and understanding that we are in the right place at the right time, even the hardest moments. So what you did that day and through those 4 days of, it was uncomfortable for you, but quickly it sounded like you became comfortable when you realized that I'm here to impact these lives and these little girls, and show them that it's okay to be themselves. It's okay to play soccer, which in many parts of the world, we're still changing perceptions that that's okay. And where does it start? We're not going to get more Karina LeBlancs if we don't actually put a ball at somebody's foot when they're young. And these girls need to have those examples. So Karina, unbelievable story. And if you don't mind, we're going to get the slide of your accomplishments as well. I just want to touch upon some of the places you've been in your world. And we know that's my favorite picture of you, so you're welcome. But, head of women's football right now, 5 World Cups. actually 6 when you count the fact that you were award-winning show host at the last World Cup in France. So that's pretty incredible. We've talked about your UNICEF ambassador work and the purpose that you feel through that job, through that, it's not even a job, through that mission. You're an actual honorary captain for the Royal Canadian Navy. So listen, we can get, that's a whole other hour, so we won't get into that. But they did show up at our Hall of Fame, and we did meet them, so we know it's not a fake story. You also have the Beijing Olympics as well as the bronze medal, which of course we are going to dive into. And I could not let you get away with this one, Karina. If you could show the next slide here. Karina is actually a cartoon character. So she's always been to me, but now she's an actual FIFA legend. And as you can see, FIFA LeBlanc, she moves so quickly in net, and actually one of the best penalty kick stoppers. Will rob you of your confidence, I'll tell you that much.
I should have never given you this opportunity. I know. Okay, I hate talking about myself, so let's get into it.
That's why I'm doing it. So thank you for the opportunity. Anyway, we'll go back to us. So I know we want to talk about some pivotal moments in not only, again, our friendship, but in the journey in general. That's led us to these moments, right? Why are we here today? There's so much to share. So why don't we start at one of the craziest moments in our time, Germany, 2011, last place in a World Cup. Let's hear about that.
Dead last. I'll never forget it. I mean, because again, as athletes, you think you're doing everything you need to do. You sacrifice everything. We'd moved to Rome. We'd kind of given up on everything that we knew that was normal. And again, it's a learning lesson. I think all of us figured out that in the midst of our greatest defeats and failures is the beauty that can take us to our greatest success. And I think from that, and you and I would both agree, had we not come dead last in the World Cup. And I remember walking off the field and a reporter saying, how's it feel to let your country down? Thanks so much. I'm glad you're doing your job. Had we not come dead last in that World Cup, we probably never would have won the medal in 2012. And it's interesting. And the reason why I love this story, it's because it's almost like we're going through that right now in this pandemic, where we're going through this uncomfortableness. We're going through what is this for? This uncomfortable, getting comfortable with the uncomfortable. But the reality is we had John Herdman come in, and I spoke about him earlier. And what I remember from the first meeting, and I'm sure you have your take, and I'm curious to hear yours too, was he asked us, why are you here? And if anybody on this call has ever been broken, if anybody on this call has ever been defeated, if anybody on this call, I keep saying this call, this conversation, has ever felt completely lost, when somebody comes in and asks you why you're here, you're like, oh. And I remember I'd been 13 years on the team, and I'm like, for the kids, and he took us on this journey of leadership. But the biggest thing is we went into that Olympics not to win a medal, because in 2008, we went to win a medal, didn't win a medal. We went into that Olympics with a different purpose, a different reasoning, a different legacy. And that legacy was to make the game better than when we came into it. Our purpose was to inspire the next generation. And our why was that so 90 years old, when you and I are barely able to walk, we could look at each other across the street and say, we did what it took, but we did it for the right reasons. And I'll never forget it. We didn't cut corners. We held each other accountable. We created a culture of 90% plus, where every single day I was going to give you 90% plus of my best on that day. It doesn't mean that every single day was going to be the highest, but it was just going towards being, I remember him saying, be a good Canadian. And what does that mean? And to this day, I still can't spit out gum on the street, because I remember him being like, hey, you know what? Be a good person. And then we were able to take that into our lives. So even today, you and I, every time we work together, we're doing things at that level where it's 90% plus of our best, because it was in order to inspire the next generation, we had to inspire ourselves. Mm-hmm. And that's how we ended up on the podium and winning that medal. What do you remember about that shift?
Yeah, no, you took me right back. So when John came in, the very first camp, I was surprised to be invited, because it was a new coach. I didn't know what he was going to do. And when he did ask that question about the why, I was ready to quit. I was done. I was done. I was heartbroken. I didn't play a minute in the last World Cup, writing's on the wall. I'm thinking my time's up. And then he came in and, to your point, connected us with purpose and starting to get to the root and the heart of the matter. Why did we wake up at 5 or 6 in the morning to work out? Why did we give up all those moments with our family? It wasn't over. We still had so much left to give. And then that repurposing, refocus of our vision, we became the best teammates to each other that we could have ever been. And we weren't that way before. I learned how to treat you guys better than I ever did before, because of just that was the way to do it, to connect with people. And I remember standing on that podium and looking down at you and being like, we said to each other, there has to be more. We wanted to do more. We were so inspired by that moment. So I totally remember that. It gave me a lifeline, if I'm honest with you, that journey to that Olympic Games. And I couldn't have asked for anything better. I know Rian Wilkinson's on the call. We did it with some incredible people that will be our friends till we're old and gray, telling these stories to people who don't want to hear them anymore. So
before you move on, the importance of this whole thing, and I know we have some of our teammates on the call again who still support us in life, but is to put it to the whoever's watching this, right? Whoever's watching this today, understanding that whatever you go through prepares you for the next level of greatness that is for you, right? And to your point, on the podium, crying the ugliest tears, which I wish somebody would have said, cry gracefully, because it's like, I have like a life-size poster of me like this. But it's the journey and the process that makes it true and special. Yes. And it's us figuring out within ourselves that we had this platform to inspire that next generation of people. Yes. And that everybody on this call right now has that platform to do something in women's football. They have that platform to for us, we were blessed where we could inspire our country and then other people globally. But it doesn't mean that we're more important than somebody who has the platform to inspire one other person or make a call and draw women's football to the next level. And I think that's what's special about what we did, what I'm doing now at CONCACAF, and that's why I love my job, is because I'm now in a position to help give opportunity and access to more girls globally in 41 members associations of their countries, and allow these girls to believe that they can be somebody, because we know the power of the game, Carm. You and I know that this game helps shape us into the women that we are today. Strong, confident, resilient, can communicate, can lead, all these things. That's what this game teaches us. And now we have the ability to give access to young girls to be that girl, right? We used to talk about being our own heroes. And a lot of the messages that I talk to some of the younger girls within our region that come to our U15 tournament and U17 and U20 is be your own hero, because when you're on the field, you have to see it to believe it. When you're on the field and how you respond to bad play or something, there's a little girl watching you saying, I want to be like her. So how you respond to these situations, how we responded to 2011 to 2012 defined us, but it's also we're setting an example for others. But anyway, I went off on the tangent there.
But listen, you inspire me every time you speak, and it's still the case after I don't know how long. So thank you for that. And what I'm hearing the most and what's shining through and what you teach me every day, it's really about how we show up. How we show up. We want to give. You want to serve. You want to make sure that you show up with a full cup for others to pour into their cups if they need it. But to be honest, Karina, what you've done for this region, I know we've had women's only de-licensed courses to make sure that we created the safest environment to allow women to shine. That group, that cohort of 20 women has gone on to be still some of the people I speak to weekly, and a whole crew that you've assembled. You have such a strong team with Vanessa Martinez, you have Heather Dyke, you have Leslie Gallimore. We have such an incredible team that has come, but our sole purpose is the same. It's not about us. It's about literally the lives that we're touching, and hopefully they will go on and do that in their region. But all you need to do is show up and serve. So thank you for those reminders. And I just want to show a few pictures from these great stories. So the one was when we came from the last place in the World Cup to seeing our flag rise, which was our word, our inspirational, motivational team connector word was rise. And no matter what happened, and yes, we did suffer a massive defeat against the United States in a semi-final in 2012 London, but our only goal was for our country and to see our flag rise, which meant that we rose to the occasion and that we got our best there. I don't know how you got cut off there a little bit, Karina, did you?
No,
I hope you didn't. And then, so we're going to move on to now. Let's go on to the next quadrennial because there's so many stories there. So we're now going to take you to the home World Cup. Canada. This is a dream, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to host a World Cup, the biggest pinnacle event in our sport. And what do you remember about that World Cup, Karina? How did that? What did that mean to you?
I don't even know, but you talking about it gave me goosebumps, and it's making me a bit emotional because I think for me, when I first started the national team, there were 8 people to the game, and 5 were my family members, and my sister's online right now, so hi, Sharma. The thing is, to go from that to seeing sold out stadiums, like remember on the bus ride, it was a sea of red. And it wasn't just young girls, it was men, women, grandparents wearing jerseys of female names, our names. And I think we didn't win that World Cup, which we wanted to win the whole World Cup. That's a dream come true. And for you and I, Carm, that was our last time playing for our country. So it was special in so many ways. But I think what I take away from that is how proud we were, or I can say I was, to step off the field, doing the last wave on home field. Oh, there I am. Thanks to be into it. But most importantly, watching the game grow. And that was the thing. And in this last World Cup in 2019, again, bigger, deeper, stronger, and all these things. But to know that we were able to bring this game to our country, and most importantly, inspired lives, not just young girls, but young boys to believe the importance of that job of wearing the flag in the heart. As John used to say, there's 2 types of people that wear the flag in the heart as a job. Those that protect the country, the Navy, which again goes to testament why it's such an honor for me to be an honorary captain of the Navy, but then those who inspire the country. And we held that true. And I think that was a game-changing moment to so many Canadians. You and I still walk down the road where people talk about that moment. And I think that's what's special about that 2015 World Cup is the shift you saw in women's football. How about you?
Yeah, it was a pivotal moment. I mean, not only for, I'll tell you a bit of a story. It was actually after we had been knocked out, we were all definitely fell short of what we believed that experience to mean, which was a win. But what you just said, it was so much more than that, because as I'm walking down the street, looking at my shoes, I actually noticed this little boy, and he was wearing a Sinclair jersey. And I remember thinking, in what world? This is the impact. This is so much bigger. This little boy is growing up respecting women's football because of what he just experienced. So we thank the Canada Soccer for bringing that moment to us, for continuing to push the sport in our country. I mean, it allowed everybody to enjoy and celebrate, wins aside, because we cannot always get caught up in the wins. This is about changing lives. And I know that happened. Yeah, no, it was what a moment for us. And again, like you mentioned, moving on to that different roles. You've been to 6 World Cups, so for me, I just got to put that out there. 1 in a different role than in between the posts, but that's okay. So we're going to shift gears a little bit now, and the World Cup sort of led you to CONCACAF and the position there. So if you don't mind telling us, yes, definitely, please tell us about how the CONCACAF opportunity came to be.
Well, let me just say it's perfect transition, because you say it's all about shifting lives. Led by our president, Victor Montagliani, a man who we saw cry, he's going to kill us for saying this, cry in the locker room with us in London when we won the medal. Okay? That's when you know that he cared. He wasn't just about like, oh yeah, women's football. He was there crying with us. He was there with us on the journey. And so Victor's the president of CONCACAF, and this position was created head of women's football. And with that leadership and knowing him as the man and knowing how important women's football was to him, it seemed to me like the perfect opportunity to connect my purpose and my passion.
Yes.
And you know what? Like, we've gone through this. I've been 2 years into this position, and It's been fantastic. We have 41 different countries with 41 different realities. USA, Canada, Mexico, that's a reality, right? And then you go down to some of our Central American countries and then our Caribbean countries, completely different realities. But at the end of the day, the most important thing is giving access and opportunity to the sport. And how I see it is to use the sport to change lives, period. It's not about the wins and losses. At CONCACAF, we have our U15 championship, which is development focused. Then we have the U17, U20, Olympic qualifiers, and World Cup qualifiers. But we've created programs, just like you talked about, the CONCACAF D license, exclusive to women. Now, some people may look at it and say, why would you do it only for women? That's pulling them aside. But if you know our region and you were there when we had this D license led by amazing women like yourself and all the other women that you mentioned, and then you brought in girls and women, pathways for players, and allowed them to have their voice and find their voice in this sport, and find the power of what they can do and get them into coaching. Because again, you have to see it to believe it. We got to get women in coaching. We've got to get former players in coaching. We got to get more women in administration. We've got to get more women in refereeing. There's so many things that women can do to help the sport, but it's for us to create that platform to do it. We have our Next Play Girls, which is one of the most amazing things. It's football for social change. We're literally be going to our MAs. This is what members associations, which is what we call our countries. And we allow girls who've never, ever sometimes touched the ball. I mean, in Antigua or in Barbados, we had, and I remember the little girl, she's like, I'm so nervous. And I'm like, why are you nervous? She's like, I don't play football. At the end of the day, she said it was the best day of her life. She's like, I want to play football every day. And she was shy to strong and confident. It's so many things that we're doing, like our webinars right now. We've affected over 1,000 coaches, men and women, technical, having discussions of women football during this pandemic. It's so important, again, to keep the game moving forward, because as if everybody on this call, there's a reason, there's a why, there's a reason for us to get to be working together. So for me, CONCACAF, it's just beginning. Honestly, the things we're going to be able to lay out together with champions like you, inspiring the men and women within our members association to keep moving the game forward. We have the 2023 World Cup coming up, which is going to be deeper, bigger, stronger. There's so many things I could talk about why there's an excitement, but at the core of it, it's us using this game to give platforms so that young girls can understand the woman they're meant to be on this earth through football.
Karina, the trailblazer, the pioneer, the one who's she's a game changer. You're also a mother, a daughter, sister, right? So the passion that we feel, everybody tuning in feels it. There's no way not to. We want to talk about you as a person, and I know that you show up the same way in all roles in your life. So I know you have recently gone through something that has really, if you didn't know your purpose before, it has continued to shape and continue to laser focus while you're on this earth. So we would love to hear the story that recently shaped your life even more.
Okay, we're going there. My baby girl, Paris. I am a new mother to a now, there she is. I'm getting choked up even looking at her. So we had Paris, my husband Jason and I, here in the Bahamas during COVID. And I thought the difficulty of birth was going to be it. But pretty quick after, things shifted. I had pleural effusion caused by heart failure. So I remember calling the doctor because I couldn't breathe. Them saying, you got to get to the hospital. You don't have time for an ambulance to come.
So you gave birth, you came home, and all of a sudden you started feeling not yourself. Shortness of breath, was it?
Yeah, about 4 or 5 days after. And as athletes, we know our bodies. And a lot of mothers had said to me, and friends were like, oh, that's okay, you're swollen, that's normal. I don't know if you know, but the mortality rate for Black women is a little higher. And so I actually watched Serena Williams talk about her story, and that made me be like, okay, wait, something's off. So yeah, on the drive to the hospital, as I was saying, I thought my life was going to be over. So I remember Paris was holding my finger and just staring at me. I mean, at this point, she's less than a week old. I said my goodbye speech to my husband, and yeah, I thought that was going to be it. But that would only be the beginning, because, and I'll tell a quicker version of the story. Went into the hospital, and as COVID is now, only I was allowed in the hospital. Nobody else was allowed to go in with me. They were able to make me better, which will be the quickest version of it. But unfortunately, the head ER of the hospital had contacted the virus, and sadly later would die. And because of that, because when I went into the ER, I was exposed to the virus, they got me out after 3 days, because they're like, we need to now kind of clean up the hospital. You're at risk. You're better off at home, but you're going to have to quarantine from your daughter and husband and everybody for 2 weeks. So just imagine that. You just had a baby. You just want to hold her. You just want to kiss her. And for 2 weeks, I had to be apart from her, which was probably the hardest thing I've ever been through. But to come back to sports, I think that's where sports kind of in perspective and mindset helped me. Because like in the midst of it, it was like, okay, I need to get my head right, because I couldn't get my blood pressure back up. And I think I started asking myself the hard questions, like why now? Why am I going through this? And what am I meant to learn about it? And I think one of the biggest things I realized was I was strong enough, which is one of the things we all realize when we go through things. But this was preparing me for the next thing that was to come in life. And I think that's how we have to look at this pandemic. Like, this is a preparation for the next great thing that's coming to us. And we all have to remember who we were before this pandemic. Remember who we are in this, but look forward to who we're going to be because of it. And I think that's one of the biggest lessons I learned. I love my daughter more than, I mean, I think every mother loves their daughter, but I cherish moments with her. And I think that's one of the biggest things. And for me, it even leads into my why even more, because I want that this next generation, and that my little girl Paris has an opportunity to play any sport if she wants to, but at whatever level she chooses to, but it helps her understand the power that she has within her. So quick version of that, so I don't cry.
Wait a second, quick version. I mean, I think we could have been here all day listening to that, but I mean, only you would take a moment of near death to inspire others. So again, if you didn't know, I mean, already about this incredible woman, that's what she's here to do, is to serve and to inspire just by being who she is. So thank you for sharing that vulnerable moment, Karina. It's powerful for all of us. And like you said, you know, I personally may never be a mom. It may not be in my story. I don't know that yet. But what I do know is I'm also inspired to make Paris's life better. I want to make sure she has every opportunity, you know, and every kid, don't get me wrong, but especially Paris. Don't get me wrong on that. So, you know, another story I wanted to lead us into is there's been a lot happening. I mean, it's been a tough 7 months. There's no one on this earth that can say they haven't gone through some sort of shift, evolution, an uncomfortable period during COVID. We're all grieving something, the normalcy of the past. We could be literally grieving the loss of somebody. So it's been a tough time. And I learned something during the Black Lives Matter movement. I've learned something as a white woman that, first of all, I don't know anything. I've learned that. I've learned that I'm continuing to have to educate myself on blind spots I've had my entire life, and one that applies to us. I have always described you as a strong female leader. My dear friend Karina, the CONCACAF head of women's football, and I use all these descriptors for you, but not once did I ever say my dear friend, my Black, strong female leader. And I've omitted that one word. And when we had this powerful conversation, you and I as friends, as sisters, and I said, I have completely omitted one of the biggest parts of your identity in your description. And what a mistake that has been. And I will never do it again, because that is some of the most beautiful parts about you. Absolutely the core of who you are. So Karina, when you talk to us about that, how have you found your voice on this topic during this global pandemic and time of social injustice movement?
First of all, Carmen, I want to thank you for that conversation we had. I'll never forget it. I think we were both in tears, and you said it was, in 16 years of knowing me, it was the first time you actually ever really felt that you knew me. So I want to thank you for going towards that conversation, which I hope more people do when it comes to Black Lives Matter. For me, my voice, I'm still finding. I'm going to be truly honest with you. I think for me, I had just gone through the situation with Paris, and I just found my footing. And then the death of George Floyd happened, and it hit me because I think it started to bring back so many memories that I'd put aside. And I was like, where's my voice? I need to come out kicking and screaming. But for me personally, I didn't know because I wasn't strong enough to take it all on at the time. You know, in some aspects, I moved to Canada when I was 8 as a young girl from the Caribbean. And my dad had always said to, my sister and I, don't make the fact that you're a black woman be 2 strikes against you. So for me, it was always like, okay, so where my voice? Because in some aspects of Canada, I wasn't wide enough. And then in the US, when I went and spent most of my adult life, in some aspects, I wasn't black enough. So who was I? And then now I'm a new mother with a mixed child. My husband and I, we've known each other for 25 years now. Hi, honey, because we just had our anniversary. We were going towards conversations of me saying, you know what, like, hey, when we walk into a store, notice that they'll look at me, but not you. And this is why, and going towards things. And then especially in football, it was like, where's my voice in this? And all I can say to you, Carm, is that I'm having a lot of the hard conversations quietly. I'm not out yelling and screaming, and that's my choice. And some people may think that that's something that's bad, but I think the impact I'm having is having some of the uncomfortable conversations like you and I had, moving towards then putting it on you and saying, Carm, what are you going to do in this conversation? Because I think when people are silent in this conversation, that still is bad. It's having the uncomfortable conversation towards it. And what can we do in football? What can we do in life? What can we do as human beings? And I think that's me. I'm being honest, saying I'm still finding my voice. But one of the most beautiful things is that people are having the conversation now. That's what gives me hope. It gives me hope that my daughter will have a better future because of the conversations that are having now. It gives me hope that this sport, because we're going towards it, will not be a place where she will be ostracized, but she will be celebrated. And I think in this day and age, we need to celebrate more our differences. We need to celebrate more what we own. We need to celebrate who we are, and not just me celebrate it, but you celebrate it with me. So I'm still figuring out my voice on that. But I thank you for that conversation, because we cried for about 2 hours.
Yeah, we did. It's, just listening and even listening again now, and my heart is beating pretty fast because, it's not your job to educate others. It's not your job to be that voice. If it is your choice. And all as an ally that we can do is make sure that we reach out, that we make sure that, in my world, I'm impacting the things that I can through my work, through the leagues I manage, the players I speak to. Always be a strong ally. But for you, Karina, no pressure to do anything but be yourself, because honestly, yourself is always going to be good enough and always has been. My black, strong female leader friend, which, yeah, unbelievable. So, we have an incredible next 4 years coming up. I don't want to skip over, not only Tokyo is supposed to happen next year. We all feel like we don't know what's going to happen, but we hope it does. And then we look forward to the next World Cup. So when you look at the future of women's football, this next quadrennial and beyond, what's your hope? What's your hope for women's football? What do you want to say when we look back again, when we're 90-year-old women, old and gray, and telling the same stories? What do you want to have seen, and what do you want to have impacted?
Well, first of all, my body feels 90 years old right now.
Me
But
too. No problem.
I think the future is so bright in women's football. You look at the 2023 World Cup; it's going to be bigger, stronger, deeper. Like, the level of women's football is growing. I'm looking forward to that. I think most importantly, I'm looking forward to the conversations that we're having today towards of how do we grow the game. Sponsors are stepping in, leagues are rising, more players are playing. In CONCACAF, I look forward to where we're going, because I know we're having these conversations of 2030, where will we be? I think one of the most important things, and when you look towards the future, is everybody on this call playing a part of it. Every single person on this call saying, what am I doing towards the future of women's football? Who am I speaking to? What ally am I raising? What woman am I letting into the door? But not just letting into the door. What woman am I empowering to make her know that she belongs here? There's so many beautiful conversations happening. There's so many amazing movements moving towards that direction. And I'm just excited. I mean, think about 2015 World Cup. It was the biggest and best.
Yes.
Then 2019, biggest and best. 2023, bigger and better. It's only going to get bigger and better. And I don't know if people are falling asleep with women's football, because then I'll be like, what rock have you been? The head nutter. But it's time to rise. But Carmen, it's not just you and I. It's everybody together.
Yes.
It's everybody understanding that they play a role. It's everybody understanding that it's up to you, not just me and you. And I think what excites me most is the people that are in this game. The people that are in this game. Like if I look at CONCACAF, starting from Victor down to Philippe, it's people I love being around. People who understand the significance of it. If I look at the conversation you and I are having, it's the people. The people on this call, the people hosting the summit. It's the people who are driven by a purpose bigger than themselves who will push the game forward. That's what excites me most about the game.
Yes, and you just made me think of the conversation you've recently had on one of the webinars with Jill Ellis, and she said many things that stuck and struck my heartstrings. And one of them was, as leaders, as coaches of your little club, of your region, of your country, of if you're Sarai Berman, no matter who you are, we're caretakers of dreams. Yes. That's our job. We're caretakers of dreams. And, Jill Ellis asked a rhetorical question, when she's dealing with anyone in the women's game or in the game in general, she asks, how can I make it easier for you to accomplish your dreams? Service leadership is what I'm hearing from the best, which you are. You are amongst the best. So, Karina, honestly, thank you so much for this. I want to not only highlight the work you're doing, yes, of course, but it's all coming from the same source, which is the woman that you are. The authenticity, the genuine nature in which you speak about things, the care you have for everything that you address. I'll never get tired of speaking to you, mark my word. I'll go back to this recording if I do, but I really don't think that's going to happen, because you literally inspire me every time we speak, whether it's a laugh or whether it's a lesson moment. So thank you for that. And what I'd love to end off.
You inspire me.
You're the best. I'd love to end off with the CONCACAF We Belong video, which is tremendous. And again, a testament to the work yourself, Victor, and your team, Erica Gomez, are doing in the region. So here, we'll leave you with this video.
I went from maybe I can to I know I will. From isn't she cute to fight. Coaches who seem stuck on we can now say we did. From women's football to every 90 minutes, I'm reminded we belong.
Thank you so much. And I think, Karina, if it's okay with you, we'll open it up to any questions that we may have.
I think I just want to, the video everyone just saw there, it's so important to speak about CONCACAF and the work we're doing in terms of developing and growing the game in our region. And We Belong is so important because every girl in our region, all 41 countries, we want them to know that they belong and they have the opportunity and access to the game. And that's what drives us home at CONCACAF, is that every single girl knows that this game is for them, and we want to give them that opportunity. So I love the video. I mean, when our branding team came together with it, I was like, woo! And I really walk around our office like that every day. But I'm so happy we got a chance to play that video.
Yeah.
So,
well, thank you so much, Karina, for sharing today. It's been an honor to be even alongside you and just to hear the stories over and over again. And I always take a little bit more. So service leadership, show up the way that, to grow this game in your own environment and keep pushing.
Women's football. Woo! Thank you, Car. You are awesome. Honor to share the stage with you, my friend.
Thank you so much, Karina. You too.